Okay, Rob, perhaps Rob will be a good place to start. The Extensive Reading World Congress in Bali 2023. Rob, hit it.
Okay, thanks everybody. Reason I want to go first is dinner's waiting, so I better go off and get that. It's lamb pie tonight. Anyway, so when I was talking to the people at the Congress, I heard very few negatives. I heard that most people enjoyed themselves. Many people say it's the best concert I've ever been to, best Congress I've been to. I heard the same thing in Taichung, and I heard the same thing in Tokyo. So those of you who could not make it, if you really want to go to an excellent ER Congress, these World Congresses are really, really excellent. And of course, it was announced at the Congress that the next one will be in Japan. And the exact site yet is not decided. There are, when we last heard, there were 3 potential sites, which we don't want to yet divulge until we, get concrete proposals from them. There's no point in naming them. But the general areas were the Kanto area, Kansai area, and further south in the islands in the south. So that's the thing we're working on right now. And we need the ERSIG and JERA and ourselves, the ERF, to work together to try and firm up these sites in the next, hopefully, the next 2 to 3, 4 months or so. And we do have some clear proposals on that, so that was great. The sessions that I saw, the best one was by Paul Goldberg, of course, about X reading. Bit of bias there, but I did see some really good ones. I thought Doreen's plenary was really interesting, the way that she had formulated things, and she was talking a bit about the book that Paul and I had written some years ago, and she viewed what I wrote slightly differently from what Paul and I were thinking of. It was interesting to talk with her. Paul Nation, I'm talking about Paul Nation, yeah. And so I had a chance for a day and a half with Doreen afterwards to sort of clarify our thoughts on that, and so that was a really interesting talk for me. I thought that was fascinating. There were a lot of interest from Indonesians coming along. We had about 100 and some people came from Bali, and people came from all over the place. And it was a shame we couldn't get more Indonesians there, but of course it's a high cost for them to travel to Bali. So we were a little bit disappointed we couldn't get more, but anyway, that was fine. All around, I think we ended up with 310 registrants, which is not bad. And if you think about it, there's very few areas in English language teaching that can gather 310 people from around the world to come and talk about their particular topic. You can do them for general conferences, let's say like JALT or Tai Sol and so on, but just about a specific topic area, probably only CALL is the only other one which could gather so many people with a single specific interest. So it was really, really good in that perspective. The conference was well organized. We didn't really have any major issues. We had a few little lumps, of course, and we're going to iron those out for the next one. So from the ERF's perspective, we got quite a bit of interest from various places around the world to start new ER affiliates, from South Africa, from Turkey, from Pakistan, from India, and from quite a few other places. Turkey was also a suggestion. So these are all places we're going to be working on. Also, as an outcome of this, it looks like there's going to be a tour with the ER Foundation in Vietnam. Tom, myself, maybe Greg Rolt are going to be going early in November for a tour down there to kind of follow up and really firm up the Vietnamese Extensive Reading Association and their work there. So there's some positives for the ERF as well. And the ERF themselves are under my sort of operational control is to work much more closely with the affiliates. And I've set up some structures to work with the affiliates a bit more closely. And maybe, Pat, you'd seen a form that I'd like to have you fill in at some point. And we've also agreed that we'd have much closer contact with the affiliates, whereby I or somebody from the ERF would contact the head of the affiliate once every 3-4 months, like that, even if it's like a 2-minute chat. Hey, how's things going? and what support can we give you? You know, what's on the what can we do? How can we organize things a bit better and try and keep that contact, because we kind of lost a bit of contact in Thailand, in Taiwan, and also in Korea, and also the Middle East. So we need to regain those things as much as we can. So all around, I think the ERF was very pleased with the overall conference and its success. And I would say almost everybody left with a really, really happy impression of the conference, except of course for those people who ended up with COVID. And so that's me.
Were there any presentations other than Paul Goldberg, of course, that you watched, that you enjoyed? Anything interesting that you participated in?
Nothing in particular that really sort of stood out to me. There were quite a lot of interesting presentations, and they were aimed at all kinds of different things. There were a lot of interesting ones. A couple of the posters were interesting. Some of the surveys that people are doing, some of the work the Vietnamese people were doing, I thought was quite interesting. And I have a particular interest in Vietnam right now, because that's where my efforts are for the ER Foundation, to try and push that and try and get Vera off the ground properly. So those are the sort of areas that I looked at. But I did have a lot of my time taken away by ERF responsibilities, particularly the book. We had a big book giveaway. We had 600 books were donated to be given away, and we were able to pass them on to the universities, and there was a huge interest in that. It was a huge win for everybody to be able to get these books, and so we thank those people who were able to donate books. We're very, very happy with that, and hopefully we can continue that at the next World Congress. So
one other thing I was going to ask is about the LLL awards.
Yes.
I can't actually find the winners online anywhere.
That's very surprising. There is actually a video that was taken, and Corey has a recording of the announcement. I don't know where the winners are. I'll message Corey and ask what's going on with that. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, that there was an award made for the John Milne Award. John Milne Award by the ER Foundation is given to a person or persons who have significantly contributed to the world of extensive reading during their career. And it was awarded to Mark Helgeson by Pat, who was handing across the trophy, or tried to hand across the trophy, the award. So
yeah, originally I was supposed to drive over and help Mark out with the language literature literacy awards, and at the end pass him the trophy. But about 4 or 5 days before that, I got COVID. So I also was online with the trophy, just kind of holding it up to the camera instead.
That's on the video. So we recorded it. I think it'll appear on the internet at some point.
He was definitely surprised, though, and very touched by it, for sure.
But it was interesting, because Corey was talking about his career and so on and so on. And then when you said, and then the awards given to the Milne Award, he went, oh, you could see his, oh, wasn't expecting it.
That's lovely. Okay, well, thank you very much. Jackie, perhaps you'd like to go next, because I know that you're very jet lagged and perhaps would like to say something before you fall asleep.
Yeah, well, I may not be able to stay very long.
Oh,
so I don't know.
Jackie, would you mind holding just for a moment? Okay, let's try Paul G.
Oh, and
Hi.
time. Yeah, I same thing Rob commented on, that. Yeah, it was a fantastic conference. I think the social aspect of it was really, really nice. The dinners we had, the gala, yeah, it was really nice. Yeah, the presentations are kind of a blur. I think my favorite, only because for entertainment value, was a session I almost didn't go to because I thought it was going to be so stupid, was print versus digital. And it was, I mean, leave it to, I mean, of course, Rob was very good as a guy. Rob, who's your friend from your hometown? Dan.
Dan Holt from, yeah, they were
yes.
very good. And Sam was there.
And Mark was the moderator in a debate.
Yes.
But they did it very tongue-in-cheek, and it was, the whole room was laughing the whole time, because they were doing it semi-seriously, but also poking fun at each other. And I think that was probably the most memorable session for me. Jackie, were you in there? Okay. I don't know if Henry, were
I
you?
don't know where I was, but yeah, something else was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anne, were you
no, I
there?
wasn't.
So
Yes.
did you also find it entertaining?
Oh, it was totally entertaining, because it was right before our session. And I wasn't planning on going because I thought, oh, I need to set up our room and everything. But then I saw you in the hallway, Paul, and you said, oh, are you going to that session? I said, well, I don't think so. He said, oh, it should be fun, And so I went.
see.
It was great. It was just, it kind of, it was lighthearted, but people were so very serious. I mean, it was hilarious.
Yeah, and anything Mark does is so funny. And yeah, I was very impressed. I mean, I just, everybody knows digital is better anyway, so I didn't really see any point of attending.
I
No,
was on the
everybody
digital
they made
side.
very good points. It was well done, good information, but also very, very entertaining.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that. And otherwise, I think most frustrating was that giving a number of my own presentations and certain ones I had to be at, I just feel like I missed far more than I would have liked. So that was my other takeaway from the conference.
Was
And
anything recorded? Does anyone know if any sessions at all were recorded?
no, I don't.
Doreen's only, which is now online. It's on the ERF channel.
Yeah, like I said, the other thing I would note was the plenaries were all very good, especially Doreen. But I also like Michael. He talks with such a passion about, because he's so emotionally connected to his own books, especially Egghead and the new Egghead the movie. That listening to him talk and he's so humble about everything. And yeah, so his plenary I thought was, I don't know if I learned much, but I really enjoyed it. So it was good. Unfortunately, I did get COVID as I discovered on the day after I got back. And unfortunately, I was a little bit distracted while I was there. For the same reason I'm a little bit distracted there, because I have a little guy over here who is waiting for me. You gonna say hello?
Congratulations.
Is he coming to the next conference?
I'm gonna see if I can put him to work. I don't know what the labor laws are in Japan. But he's actually being good now. So yeah, I should be. He was squirming right up until I started speaking. I guess my voice put him to sleep, just like my students.
Yeah, don't stop breastfeeding him, okay?
Anyway, so any questions about my experience or anything?
Paul, you mentioned, were you joking when you said Egghead the movie? What's the story with that? Michael's made the book into a movie?
No, it's a book about Egghead
yes.
being made into a movie.
Egghead.
Oh, wow.
Oh, brilliant! I love that book.
Yeah,
yeah. This is it's very meta. I'll just say that.
Interesting.
Pat, have you read it? Okay, yeah.
Not
So it's
yet. Looking forward to it though.
Yeah, so it's not quite what you think. It was definitely different than I thought it was going to be, but certainly worth reading. And yeah, it's just like I said, it's very meta, and he did it himself, and he's yeah, it's beautiful.
So how do we get hold of it? Is it self-published on Amazon or something?
I think so. Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, I think he's going to put it on X Reading soon.
But
Great,
for us
great,
who
great.
don't have X Reading,
Yeah. You have an account, don't you?
Yes, I do, but I don't think it's active at the moment.
It never goes inactive. If you have an instructor
Okay.
account, it will last forever.
I'm
Well,
not sure if I do, but please, yes, I'll definitely check it out if I can.
Yeah, and I'll check with him when it's available. I don't know yet, but I think he wants to make it available soon. What do you say, Rob?
Just one other thing that you reminded me, something I forgot to mention before, was a very big development in Indonesia, which was that Future publisher who attended and was very generous donating some books. They now have got a dedicated distributor for their materials in Indonesia. None of the other major publishers have, Macmillan and all the rest of them have offices elsewhere. So now Indonesian teachers can get eFuture books at Indonesian prices in Indonesia without having to order them in from somewhere else. And that's a huge development. And
Yes.
we should all support eFuture. I strongly recommend anybody in Indonesia who wants to buy books, please buy eFuture first to reward them for taking
I
the
do.
risk to come into Indonesia.
I do. I'm gonna use their book very soon, Rob.
Great, that's great. Thank you so much, Henry.
Yeah. I've just contacted Sue a couple days ago, and I'm going to order very soon for my students. I love the books, basically. Yeah, very complete.
That's wonderful. Okay. Thank you, Paul.
Sure.
And yes, Bubs as well. Now,
Oh,
there we go.
his name is Benjamin.
Oh,
Hi, Ben.
Benjamin Wren.
oh, that's so cute.
You can't see anybody, can you? Okay, I'm still here for now, but I may have to sign off eventually.
Okay, thank you. All
I
right.
have to go get
Jackie.
my lamb pie. So I'm off to my
Okay.
lamb pie, folks.
Thank you, Rob.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, now Jackie, please, while your brain is still awake, if you'd like to share your experiences, no COVID, thankfully, but
Sorry, yes.
anything that you'd like to share with the class.
Well, it's quite opportune that Anne joined us, because I was going to talk about the session that I went to that she co-hosted with Trina, which I thought was so good, really good and entertaining and fun, and like, I want to do this with my students. That's what I kept thinking, like, I want to do this. And they even gave me the extra paper that they didn't use, so I will be doing it with my students as soon as they come back from summer break. But
Doing what? Doing what?
yeah. So Anne, jump in if I say something wrong or you want to add or whatever. So please don't be shy. But basically, I came in halfway through the session as well. But the part that I took away was about creating stories together in a group, creating several different stories. So in each group of 4 or 5 people, I think is ideal. You create a story starter. So, for example, oh, you'll never guess what I did the other day. I came out of the bank and there was a strange man. Da, 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 da. And so each group comes up with one of those, and then they get shuffled around and passed on to a different group. And then the 5 people in the group that get this, like the man comes out of the bank and whatever, each person gets a pen, a different colored pen, and they continue that story from that spot on their own. So I wrote one and 4 other people wrote theirs, right? And it was on a big circular piece of paper, and you write in sort of like spokes on a wheel. You sit around. And so I wrote my little thing, and I was always late finishing. I got in a lot of trouble. But so I wrote my thing, and then they said, okay, time's up, and it shifts. And then I get the story starter, somebody else's like wee addition, and then I continued on there. And somebody else finished mine, and da 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 da, and it goes round and round and round. And then at some point, Trina or Anne said, "Okay, this is the last one," and so you have to bring it to a close, right? And then you get to read all of them, right? So you have like 5 different stories that all started in the same spot, but ended in very, very different places. And so we all read each of the stories, and then as a group, we decided which one we liked the most. Yeah, which story had the best, work up to the climax, and then the, conclusion, da da da, like this. And then we read them out in class. So each group got up and this is the one we picked, and we read it out, and da da da, and lots of clapping and laughing and da da da. And then the next group did the same, and it was it was really fun to see what other people had written, and like, where do I go from here? And just that creative process, but also doing it under time pressure. Like, just write something, and if you're in the middle of a word, you just stop, and then you get that and go, STI. Okay, well, where do we go from here? So it was quite fun. I really, really enjoyed this session and the idea, because it was something that I thought, yeah, I can do this with my kids, and I think they will have a great time with it. So, yeah. So thank you, Anne.
Yeah, and I guess just to add to that, you know, the whole point of the workshop was that, you know, we all work collaboratively. You know, whether you're an editor, whether you're a writer, you know, you can't just do it on your own. You need everybody's input all the time. And where are you going to take it? How is it going to end up at the end? And what are the elements that are important, you know, to the story? And that's what we were trying to get across, you know. And yeah, we had some challenges with setting up the room because they weren't set up to be for workshopy type things like that, you know. And so yeah, Mark was instrumental in in getting our room all set up, because it was just kind of a wild ride until that point. I mean, we thought about doing it in the place, you know, where you eat, you know, with the round tables, and yeah, it was quite a challenge, but in the end it worked out. It was fun, you know, it was a lot of fun. And we had actually never done it before, done it this way before. I've used that the Entakun thing before for like faculty development workshops, and what's really good about that is it gives every single person a chance, every single person a voice, you know, at each step of the way. And that's what was really important. You know, when you turn it and you're limited by time, everybody's contributing something. So yeah, if anybody's interested, we're going to do that for JALT, I think, in December. Yeah.
How many people were in that session?
Well, let's see. I would say we started with maybe 12 people, but people came in later. So I would say what, maybe 16 or so, 16. Yeah.
There were 4 groups, right?
Yeah. 4 groups of like 5, maybe.
5?
Five.
Yeah, so maybe close to 20,
Yeah.
something like that. So
At the end of the day, you know, and the ERF meetings were all going on, you know, all of those important meetings are
That's
going
right. That's why I couldn't come. Yeah.
Yeah, those were all going on at the same time. So yeah, but it was fun.
What was the session called?
Super fun.
Mining for stories. Yeah. From snippets, we actually we had a subtitle. It was from snippets to stories. Yeah.
Nice. That's not what I thought it was about at all. That sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it was fun. It's fun. It's great fun.
It's great,
Yeah,
Jackie.
it was super fun.
Yeah, anything else that you saw, Jackie? You know, any other presentations or information you'd like to share?
His name is going to escape me, whose presentation it was, so I feel really badly about that.
What was it about?
It was about reading circles, and he had lots of different roles, and he was really creative with different roles that he came up with for people to have. Like somebody was a graphic organizer and an idiom queen and a character creator, like just yeah. So it wasn't just like we have a discussion leader, we have a secretary, we have, you know, like it was really creative. And what was his name? Reading circles. And he even had his kids like come up with roles like later, because they did several sets of these throughout the semester or the year, and so they came up with their own roles as well, which I thought that was, you know, giving the kids, you know, agency in the process as well. I thought was really really good. So
Either Barry Keith or Kevin Marr, both.
I think Barry.
He's in Okinawa. Kevin is in.
Yeah, I think it was Barry, but yeah, don't quote me on that. But yeah, I'm sorry to whoever you were. I'm really sorry.
No, that's great. Thank you. All
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it was really good.
That sounds really interesting. Both of those sound really, really interesting. Now, who else was there would like to speak? Henry. Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Please tell us what you saw and yeah, give us
Okay.
some insight.
Thank you, Sandra. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you again online. To see Paul, Jackie. But I didn't have a chance to talk to Jackie. So sorry, Jackie.
Well, me
Uh,
too. Yes,
yeah, I
next
met you
time.
a couple times, but you were so busy talking with somebody else.
Sorry. Very sorry.
But it's good to
Oh,
see you here online.
yes,
Okay.
yes, very good.
Well,
I'm
to
glad you
be
could join
honest,
us. Mhm.
yeah, to be honest, I think that was one of the best conferences that I've ever attended. Yeah, I was so happy. Everything was just perfect. The plenary speakers, the panel presenters, all are just amazing, I guess. And you know what, everyone? I took a note and I got like maybe 25 something. You know, you see the number there, 25 actions that I'm going to do for my students. In related with the ER and EL, extensive listening. And I've done some of them basically. And I think one of the most lesson that I learned is, of course, yeah, from Paul, yeah, the X reading. I learned a lot from Paul about the X reading, and I fell in love, to be honest, with the detailed activities that the students can be done in the X reading, and I'm going to do that for sure in my next term. And then another one is also the QAR. I think it was presented by one lecturer from Surabaya, I think, Ibu Tiwi, if I'm not mistaken. So basically, in the QAR strategy is that the lecturer is asking students to create questions, hot questions, basically. Because I usually ask my students to answer the hot question made by me, right? That's what I usually do in my classes. So I usually give them text or maybe stories, and then I give hot questions to them to develop their critical thinking skills and blah, blah, blah. And I ask them to answer questions in the Google form. But the good thing about the KAR strategy is that we don't give the questions to the student, but we ask the students to work together collaboratively, creating questions, hot questions, basically. I think this is one of the lesson that I learned a lot, from the extensive reading conference last time, and I'm going to do that for sure in my classes. And then lots of resources because I forgot. I think Thomas, right? Jackie. He was sharing lots of free resources for the graded readers, and then Bu Yvonne also shared so many resources for the students to read lots of reading, I think, the free reading resources. And I just love that. I tried that a couple days ago with my students. I think it was Oxford 3. And I just love that, because the books are just for free, and that there are so many activities. They're like the quiz, and they're like interactive games. So I just love it so much. And then, of course, from Todd Becken, the founder of ELO, I met him, in Bali, and I've been using ELO for so many years, like maybe 5 to 6 years in my classes, and I just love using those listening resources for my students because, um, oh yeah, thank you, Jackie. And then, Todd was presenting about the variety of learners, basically. And what I like the most is that he gives some tips on how to deal with low motivated learners, because in my classes, I see that when I give students the reading assignment, some of them were not eager to read. And Todd was saying that with this kind of students, we can just ask them to read the book together with us, And I did that a couple of days ago with my low motivated learner, and they do read the book basically. Instead of just giving them chances to read a book, which it turned out that they're not going to read the book. So I just asked them to read the book together with me. So I think that one of the lesson I learned a lot from Todd Bacon, basically, and I just love that. So in a couple next days, I'm gonna try out to read lots of books, with my low motivated learners, because that's how I think I can just support them to read more books because they don't have any motivation at all to read books. So yeah, I think that's one of the best things that I learned from Todd. And then I also trying out Todd suggestion to ask the students to write summary in at least 25 words. So basically, Todd saying that he's done this with his classes, with his students, in America, and he asked the students to write a summary of at least 25 words. And he said that it turned out that the students write much more than that, maybe 60 words something. And I tried that with my students, in my classes, and that was absolutely right, guys. So my students, all of them wrote more than that. They wrote 50 something. They wrote, even some of them wrote 60 words, and that was just amazing, I guess. I asked them to write 25 words, but then they wrote down up to 90 something. That was just amazing, I guess. And I learned that from Todd. So now in my extensive reading, well, I did that before in my classes. I asked them to read lots of books, in my ER project, but I don't ask them to write the summary or anything. I just ask them to read and then write down the what is it, the title, and then the resources in the journal log. But I didn't ask them to write anything or the summary. And now I'm trying it out in my classes, my students, that they need to write a summary, and they just love doing it. I give some rewards as well. I'm using the class craft, where we can give some rewards to the students who achieve the reading target every week. It was just awesome, I guess. I learned a lot in the conference, and I just so thankful for that.
Thank you. That was really very interesting.
Thank you, Sandra.
Okay. Now, who would like to?
Actually, Sandra, can I just ask Henry a question?
Yes, of course.
Henry, it was a really helpful sort of summary there. I was interested in the idea you said the presenter talked about reading the book together with a low motivated student. Does that obviously doesn't mean physically reading it together, or does it? Does that just mean just going away and reading the same book as that student and coming back the next week? And what does that specifically mean?
Well, he didn't really explain the detail on how he does read the book together, but I assume that basically maybe they're sitting face to face together, read the same book, I guess, because their context is basically the offline school, I mean. And in my context, because I'm running my own institution online English course, so in my context, I just set up the the specific time for my students, and then I send the link for the books. Then we read the book together. That's it, and it works. Some of them were just not motivated to read at all. Every time I check the evaluation, what is it? Every weekend they didn't read anything, even though I talked to the mother, I talked to the father. Yeah, I give rewards and everything. I reduce the reward, and it doesn't work. So I was just so confused. What should I do next?
I completely understand where you're coming from.
That's why when I learned that way, that we need to do something more. We just need to to read the book together with the students, set a specific time with them, and then read the book together. And it worked, to be honest. And
I found
what I like the most is that after trying out the reading time together, I saw that they started to read, to be honest.
Yeah, I had the same experience, and with my readers as well, with the lower motivation readers, if they now know that you're going to go and read the same book as they're reading, and you come back the next class and you're ready to talk with them about it, it sort of encourages them to read, and you can sort of actually chat with them more about the content. And it worked for me too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think Richard Day and his 10 principles are fantastic and helpful, but I think he kind of got it wrong on that one when he insists that extensive reading students must be choosing their own books. I think there's definitely benefits to having students read the same book at the same time, and for exactly the reasons both of you just mentioned. And Henry, I'm glad you made it. You weren't actually planning on going until like 2 days before the conference, right?
One day.
Yes, I was impressed that you actually, I mean, last I emailed with you, it was like 2 or 3 days beforehand, and you said you didn't think you could make it. So I'm really glad you did.
yeah, I decided to go on Sunday morning, because yeah, everyone, I need to tell you this story, to be honest, I was I think I knew about the conference in March, in March, in April, I think, something like that, and I was so eager to participate, because I saw the lineup speakers, Pak Willy, and then I see Ibu Yvonne and Michael and so on and so forth. And I was so eager to participate, and I have prepared myself financially. I saved my money, to go to Bali because it's pretty expensive for me. Yeah, but then in July, I got a call from my doctor that my son needs to be undergoing a surgery. So then I decided not to go, because the surgery would be conducted one day before the conference. That's why I was so sad, that I couldn't go to the conference, because I'm gonna miss a lots of opportunity to learn, from the experts about the ER things. But then, to my surprise, I got a call from the doctor that the surgery will be postponed, and I got a call on Friday evening. That's why I decided to go on Saturday. Oh, no, on Sunday morning. I decided to go. I booked the ticket on Sunday afternoon, and I went there. I went to Bali at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. There was a rush.
Yeah. Yeah, you made it to the workshop, didn't you? On Monday.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that was great.
I saw you there. I saw you there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it, Sandra.
Yeah. Anybody else got any questions for Henry? No? Okay. Well, Anne, would you like to, apart from your wonderful presentation that you and Trina did, anything that you saw and would like to report? Give us some information.
I was thinking about it, and it was all kind of a blur. The conference was all kind of a blur. It was just nice to see everybody, actually. I suppose one presentation that I did see that I thought was really applicable to my context was one by, I don't remember his name, and I'm so sorry, but he teaches at Osaka Jogakuin in Osaka.
Toru.
Yes. And his presentation was on, well, they use X reading, and in particular they use X reading news. And I thought it was really interesting because, I like X reading news, but I was kind of at a loss as how would I get our students to actually read that, to get into it. But his university, they really focus on some global issues, but issues, current events, things that are happening. Their university really focuses on that kind of thing, and the students have to do a lot of their own self-study and research on some current events or relevant issues now. And so his students started reading X reading news because it was accessible to them. Watching the news or reading the newspaper, it's just way over their heads, the vocabulary, all of that. But he found that they were reading X reading news, and they had really quite high readership of X reading news. And so I thought, actually, that's a really good way of getting students engaged. And I think, for our readers as well, that's one of the things. We write it at a very low level because we want our students to know about these issues, but it can't be something that you're kind of shoving down their throats. It has to be accessible to them, in the language and vocabulary that they can use. So I thought it was a really good way. So I came away feeling like, yeah, we could do something like that. So kudos to you, Paul Goldberg, and X Reading News.
Thank you. And your co-presenter, Trina, who's the editor, who does an amazing job.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, Sandra, I think you're muted.
Sandra, you're muted, yeah.
Sorry, anything else that you saw that you'd like to comment on? Anne?
And I think I've commented enough.
How about the plenaries? We've had a very brief sort of talk about that, but any impressions about the plenary?
Well, I think, like as Paul mentioned, Michael Lacey Freeman. I mean, he's just so easy on the ears, just his whole demeanor. He's just really easy to listen to. You know, he's always telling a story. You know, I think he's a very excellent speaker. You know, I've been in webinars with him as well. He's just so he's got this peaceful, gentle way of speaking. Yeah. Who else is the plenary? Yvonne. What is her first?
Yeah, Yvonne, Francesca.
Yeah. Hers was interesting. You know, she was talking about extensive listening and extensive viewing, right? Which I thought was really quite interesting, because extensive reading, extensive listening, yeah, right. But extensive viewing was kind of a new thing for me, you know, and her take on it was quite interesting. And because she thought, I think her view is that, you know, readers and listeners and students, young students, you know, that's what they do. They extensively view. So how do we use that as a tool, as a language learning tool, you know, bring it into the extensive part of all of this, you know? So I thought that was quite interesting. Yeah. Who was the other plenary?
Doreen.
Doreen.
Oh, Doreen. Oh, Doreen's always good. Doreen, yeah. I think Doreen, you know, Doreen is always good. I have no comment on, I've you know, heard her speak many times, and she's always, you know, she's always got interesting things to say, you know? Yeah, that's right. That was Doreen. Oh, apologies, Doreen. Yeah, I did have a chat with her later as well.
No, that's great. Well, are there any other comments anyone would like to make before we stop the recording about the World Congress? Paul and Henry, Pat?
So I had a question about any presentations that were focused on extensive reading in other languages. So like, I know Roman's talked at PresentERs about doing extensive reading in French, and Kimberly uses extensive reading in Japanese. I was wondering how many of those kind of presentations were at the conference.
Not many. There was some women, I don't know if they presented though, the women who are writing graded readers in Japanese. I think they presented. Rob would know more because he introduced me to them. Yeah, looking through the schedule, I don't think.
I think I found it. So Mieko Sakai, Yoko Ikeda, and others.
Bono? Bono was the name I remember, but the other two names do sound familiar.
Yes,
So like
Kimberly
creating
done here. Eddie Bano
Yeah.
and Jeff did a couple, says Kimberly.
That's right. And Jeff's co-presenter, who I actually had dinner with in the airport. The worst nasi goreng I'd ever had. Oh my God. I figured one last Indonesian meal. It was horrendous. Oh, what's that guy? Paul Warnick, who I'd not spoken to the entire conference. It was nice that we ended up at the airport at the same time, him and his wife.
So those women that you're talking about, they're the writers of the Genki textbook series?
Yes.
Here, yes.
Yes.
And they're writing graded readers, you say?
Yes. I don't know if they're the writers of the textbook series, but they're the writers of the graded readers. And we're looking to, Rob and I talked to them about possibly translating Foundation Reading Library into Japanese, because Cengage will give us permission to that, like we did for French. It doesn't make as much sense because the characters are all Western looking. But it would be relatively easy because the images are there and the stories are already there. And the Genki readers, they don't actually own the rights to, so I don't know what we can do with them. They're owned by, I think, Japan Times or something like that. Yeah, that's the only thing I saw. There was a guy, Daniel, who teaches at Kyoto Kyoto Gaidai University, but I don't think he presented. He teaches Spanish.
Oh yes. He
actually
joined
maybe he came in June.
Yeah, with our presentation presenters in June, when Roman was speaking, he
Yeah.
joined the conversation with that.
Yeah, very nice guy.
So if the next World Congress is going to be in Japan, I think maybe working on some of those people at Kyoto Gaidai, because I don't think they're in JALT, so they're not in the ERSIG, but kind of getting in contact with them and making sure they're in the loop and get some presentations that are not necessarily English focused.
Yeah.
English is good too, but
Yeah, a friend of mine from the US who teaches Spanish. She's Spanish and actually one of my oldest friends in the world has always wanted to come to Japan, so she's excited. She's gonna really try to come in 2 years for the World Congress. She's teaching Spanish and she does extensive reading.
I think that would be really, really good if we could get some more people doing presentations about their experiences with extensive reading in other languages.
I wish they had graded readers when I was studying Japanese.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Would have made life so much easier.
Yeah, apparently, oh, maybe Kimberly knows about this. There's 2 series. Somebody just recently asked me about them. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. It's actually a company that wants to connect with these Japanese publishers, and they can't seem to reach the Japanese publishers, and they assume because I'm in Japan I could reach them, like I can go knock on their door. Why is my email not opening?
Actually, I have a quick question just for Anne. Hey, Anne. Hello, Anne. Hey, just a quick question. You said someone was presenting about extensive viewing. I was just wondering, are there resources for that available somewhere, or where are they getting the material for that? I'm just curious. Or was the presenter actually? Sorry.
Yeah, I think I don't know. She didn't really give any resources, but she was just talking about extensive viewing as another component.
As another avenue. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes,
yeah, she didn't give very much concrete.
It was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I could see how that would be really, really good if there were resources, sort of level, sort of based resources available.
Right. And I think that was yeah, she was really kind of getting to that as well. She was talking about, then how do learners then decide what is at their appropriate level? Because it's not it's not reading anymore. It's not really, it's listening, yes, but there's also the input from
the visual
viewing.
The visual factor.
The visual part. Yeah. So you have listening and viewing. And so, you're getting a lot of hints from the viewing part. So then it's the question, then how do you find that optimal, kind of
exactly, yeah.
CP, I guess.
Bit of a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting though. I never really thought about that. So yeah.
It's food for thought, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I've thought about it years and years ago, and the problem is just it's so expensive to make video. Maybe now with AI it can be done less expensively. But that's the problem. That's Express Publishing out of Greece made a couple of their graded readers made a video to go along with it, and yeah, you just tell they must have spent so much money, and graded readers just don't. Yeah, I'm sure they did not make their money back. This is probably why. I'm curious because you just reminded me from that presentation. Does anybody know it was a series of TV shows from the Annenberg Foundation? It was for quite high level, but it was made for like immigrants in America, but definitely for language learners. It had extremely high production value. I mean, you would think you were watching a regular TV show, and this was probably in the 1990s or early 2000s that it came out. I just cannot remember the name of it, and it made seeing our presentation made me think of it, and now I'm just trying to find anybody who might know or heard of it. It's probably something that only an American would know. It was probably a lot of immigrant community, immigrant schools for immigrants or refugees were using it. Nobody knows, and you don't know anything about that?
Oh,
Yeah, because if you were watching it, you would think you're just watching a regular TV drama. That's how good the production value was. But you know, it was like a high level graded reader. You know, only an expert would realize it was controlled, the language. But yeah, so when she talked about extensive viewing, I thought of that TV show.
yeah. Anyway. Mm.
I don't know that particular show, but I know Voice of America had video newscasts that were done in limited English for a while. For some reason, they stopped producing them.
Oh, they did? Voice of America is no longer.
Well, Voice of America is around, but their weekly video broadcast that they had made, they had it kind of as social areas, sports, and it was all delivered at, I think, maybe about 40% regular speed, but not being slowed down. The announcers were trained to speak at that rate. And also their vocabulary for what they were reading was limited. And it was really good. But then probably about 10 years ago or so, they stopped releasing any new ones.
And Paul, were you finding something about the Japanese graded readers?
Oh, yeah, I'll put it. Thank you for reminding me. This is just a company contacted me from Korea wanting to contact these two publishers. I don't know if Kimberly's ever heard of them.
Ask and Nihongo Tadaku books by Tai Shuka.
They should go through the taroku.org website. Like there should be a contact us, and because those are the people who originally like wrote the books, and they'll have contact details. I'll put the website down here.
Well, no, that's okay, because this is I'm just giving you now the full quote. It's funny that you mentioned that, because I took that out when I copy and pasted, but you can see what they said here. They've already contacted taroku.org. And they can't seem to reach these publishers.
What does BTC mean?
Business to consumer, I think. B2C, yeah. Not B2B. B2B is business to business. So I should tell them, yeah, probably because they need a fax machine since it's Japan.
Or maybe it's been
quite possibly
summer.
What do they want to? Why are they trying to get in touch with them?
When did they contact them? Because they might be closed for August.
When was this? Yeah, it could be. Yeah, because it was just a week ago.
Yeah, it's peak bond season. Like most businesses are shut for at least 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, I thought things would be back. I mean, in Osaka, everything has been back for it was all 2 weeks ago.
Probably depends on whereabouts in Japan there are bonners, because it's slightly different around the country.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll tell them to wait or to send a fax. Yeah.
What are they wanting to do, Paul? Why are they trying to get in touch with them?
Don't know too much. It's Korean publisher looking to make a partnership.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah, they're very nice people there. I took classes there for a while.
Tadoku, you mean?
Tadoku.
Where are they based?
In Tokyo.
Okay.
Yeah. Nakanoku. Near Shinjuku. Yeah. So, yeah. It's a little office. Really lovely people. Yeah. So they have an online book club every month or so, or a couple of weeks, which is really, really nice. Like they read a book, you go in and they read a really low level book, or read it all together and show you the pictures and da. Well, it's all online, right? They have all their books online, so they go through and read a book, and then you get time to go into a breakout room and just read, or just talk to other people about books, and then you come back together and few people talk about what they read or whatever, and then they do it again, go into breakout rooms and do whatever, and then group again, and it's quite good. Yeah, very international. It's like yeah, the United Nations, really, from everywhere, which is really lovely as well. So,
So we do
yeah.
eventually add Japanese graded readers. That would be a good organization to contact.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, because they have everything online already, like on their website. So, yeah. Mm. And it's .org, so it's they're not doing this to make money, right?
Mm.
But yeah, great organization, fantastic
Excellent.
organization. So
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Now, has anyone got any final comments before I stop the recording part of this session? No? Okay. Thank you very much for everyone who has participated. And really, really good to get an idea of what was happening at the conference. And hopefully next time in Japan, we will be able to report on even more, as we'll probably have a lot easier access, I think, though probably not as many beaches and fun times outside of the conference as in Bali. But thank you very much.